I want to welcome everybody back. Today we're going to look at some of these AR-15s. Boy, this is like opening a can of worms. There is no more of a competitive field. Everybody knows best. Their gun is better than yours world until you step into these AR-15s. Everybody that has one has an opinion. Everybody knows the best way to build them. So I'm not even gonna address too much of that. I figure I build every one of these guns for my purpose. You know, I'll be 70 here. And every one of these gotta be at least 15 years old. At least the uppers. I built most of these 12, 15 years ago. I was watching a guy the other day rating them. He didn't even rate Anderson on the chart as good, poor, bad, whatever. Which is kind of unfair because most people judge Anderson on them $400 ones you buy. And hey, they'll work. They're better than a stick, but they got the cheapest Anderson parts you can buy in it. So the whole idea of these are like Barbie dolls. You get Barbie and then you dress her up how you want. Good clothes, old clothes, blue jeans, dresses, princess outfits. Every one of these guns started out as being a basic Anderson AR-15 lower. Which, think of that as a pop can. It's not a Pepsi can until you dump Pepsi inside. It's not a Coke can until you dump Coke inside. So, what you put inside of these is what makes the gun, not every one of these. Back when I was building these 15 years ago, there was only 4 or 5 companies then making lower receivers. So no matter what name you had on it, you still had the same maker. And I've been in this way before there was a Pimento Arms or a Bear Creek Arms or a dozen other of them ones you see today. What I did, the first one I built was an Anderson. I had no problem. I liked their finish. I was familiar with Bushmaster and their finishes peeled off. So I went with the Anderson strip lower. Then I took and I buy the Anderson lower parts kits, but I only use some parts out of them. Now you see that's open because I took some parts out because I wasn't going to use them. But all of these on the table have the old first generation Anderson stainless parts kits in them, which give you a little bit different shaped trigger and to me a heavier hammer. But these guns, basically the bottoms are mostly all the same other than the stocks. They're all Anderson lowers. They all have ASC mags except for those 2 A2 ones over there that have the 15 round mags. Other than that, they're all aluminum AMC mags. You'll see they have the stainless steel no walk pins with the Allen head screws on your trigger and your hammer there. They all got Anderson parts kits. They all got stainless steel, either reduced 50% reduction spring kits in them. So your trigger's 50% lighter, which would make you from 7 to about 4.5 pound triggers. Now I'm only shooting, my one bottle target's 100 feet, the other one's 180 feet. Maybe sometimes we shoot to 200 feet. So you don't see much fancy optics on any of these. The one in the middle there has a nice optic because it's a 458. You need a good optics on that kick of a gun. But other than that, you just see, I think there's a Simmons and a, I don't know, Bushnell. I don't even know what the hell they do have on them. I have to walk over there and look. But they suited my need. I'm just shooting across the damn hallway, you know? And you'll see there's different variations on the handguards. The ones closest to me, those were the first style free floating handguards. They're real fat. Then they got skinnier, like the ones out in front of you. If you look to the right there, them two are skinny. So are the ones clear at the end of the table, are skinny. But they're what they call key lock. And what key lock is you slide like if you want to put a bar on there for attachments, you slide it on, slide it forward, tighten it up, you're on. Well, they're not the greatest. After that, they come out what they call the M-lock. And I have 4 or 5 M-locks, but they're all downstairs on the rack down there. They're not actually in this group because these 9 and one other ones are all consecutive numbers, which I consider my own private collection. I always like to keep 4 or 5 of these around to trade people for old guns. I'd rather trade a new one of these for an old rifle any day of the week, you know. You can build another one of these tomorrow, but where you're going to get another old Winchester or something. So like I said, I keep a half a dozen around for trading. Well, I got some nice ones right now too with the nickel borax bolts, the full stocks, the full length gas ports. Nice guns. Heavy contour barrels. Now these, like I say, only 2 of these on the right there, them 2 blackouts, have Anderson bolts. But they have the better chrome lined Anderson bolt, not the cheap ones like you get in their cheap guns that have trouble with. And in the beginning, I didn't know the difference. I was having trouble with bolts and had to send a few back because I was buying the cheapest ones that weren't chrome lined. I swapped the chrome line and never had another problem. In all the years of making these ARs, I must have made over 100. I had to send 1 receiver back. I had 1 gun come back, and it's sitting here on the table, which I'm going to show you in a minute and tell you what I'm going to do to it. But, I mean, they worked flawlessly. I never had a problem. There's no competition shooting around here for these guns. Now, if I was a competition shooter, or I was going to shoot long range, here in the hills of Pennsylvania, if you got 100 yards, you're lucky. Now, up in my one field, I can get 265 yards. But I took all my targets down because people would stop and shoot and leave all their garbage for me to clean up. So I took all the targets out. But like I say, it isn't just the name on the receiver, it's what parts you put in the gun. You sort of privatize it and make it your way. And like I say, I know there's a lot of guys that wouldn't pick an Anderson lower, but they're not doing the shooting I'm doing. Not a one of these guns have ever failed me for what I'm shooting. Why do I want to put more money in a gun to shoot 500 yards when I can't shoot 500 yards? And I'm not going to ever get in a car and go nowhere where I'm going to shoot 500 yards. But I've sold guns and sent them to places where people do shoot 500 yards. I forget where it is that they shoot them damn little prairie dogs. I made a couple of them, sent them to these guys, and I forget what the hell state it was, but now they order special barrels and shit, and I build them to their specs, but that's what you do. You pick out what you want to do with the gun, you build it to that spec, and you should be happy with it. If you move on to better shooting, you're going to have to get a better gun. So to knock at somebody with one of these is really kind of foolish. But boy, the competition when it comes to these guns is ridiculous. Everybody will tell you the right way to build one. But if they're not doing the shooting I'm doing, why do I want to put more money in a gun to shoot 500 yards when I can't shoot 500 yards? And I'm not going to ever get in a car and go nowhere where I'm going to shoot 500 yards. And then you see guys on videos when these years ago, they were building them on their table with a claw hammer and thought that was a great video, you know. Now you got people, I keep pumping that down. Let me tighten this up a little. Now you got 15, 20,000 people on there telling you the best way to build one. But hey, you pick out the shooting you're going to do. You pick out the scope you need for your distance. And hey, those pistols with the carry handles and the regular sights, they're fairly accurate, but I never planned on shooting far with them. Them's kind of grab and shoot somebody in the house with guns or something, I don't know. But I just wanted a pistol, so I built one. And if you see, they all sort of match. They got the same hand guards, same grips. You know, the blackouts are different than the 5.56s and the 7.62 by 39s here. If you look, everything's identical except the one forearm's got slots and the other one's got holes, because when I built that a couple of years later, I couldn't find the other style. They did away with them fat ones and they went all to the skinny ones. And I made a mistake, like on the 300 blackouts. I went with, and I had a hard time finding them, I went with carbine length gas systems. Where here pistol length gas systems are better for a 300 blackout. I didn't learn that till after I built them. My opinion now, if I built one, I think I'd try a pistol. But I don't know. Yep. Look at them, I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You got them at a table full of them, do look good though. That's that one lower I got left out of 10. What I used to do, actually, if you buy a bunch of strip lowers and turn around and sell them, you're considered a manufacturer. So I'd buy a bunch of lowers, I'd build them and put them on these rifles. A year later, I'd buy 10 more, take these lowers and sell them and build more. That way I've had them a year before I sold them. So there's no question, you know, they actually were all a year old, the receivers. Right here. This is that 7.62 by 39 that I told you that keeps coming back on me. Oop, I just lost the springs. I got the heavy springs for it. My nephew bought a couple thousand rounds of this real hard cased ammo. And that gun wouldn't shoot them. I'd shoot 330 round mags of my ammo through it, shoot perfect. He'd come out with his ammo and misfire. After 4 or 5 years of him complaining, I just got mad and gave him a brand new 223 and took that back. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert that over to a pistol, 5.5 inch barrel. Years back, you used to see these ARs in pistol version with a real short buffer stock, or buffer tube, a real short barrel with no handguard and grips on the mag well to hold it there and hold it at the grip to shoot it. And they had a name for them that I can't remember. But I'm going to build one of them. And hey, that's for you, Sam. That's going to be my buck. Except I'm going to call it WTF. We all know what that stands for. That's going to be my WTF gun. I'm kind of leery a little bit of that short barrel, but you know, your mini, or he ain't got a mini Draco. He's got the other one. What's the micro or something? But it's got a fat end on the hand grip to keep your hand on. And on my 39s, I like to use these fat barrel shrouds. But that gives you no muzzle brake at all. That's the end of your barrel right there. Man, are they loud. Figured out at 5.5 inches. It'd be 5.5 inches. If I put one of them on, it'd be, well, 4 inch handguard, so it'd be an inch and a half of that heavy black barrel shot. Or it might not have none, I'm not sure yet. But I got a barrel coming for it. I didn't really go around the table. 15 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this video off right here. Since I did all my explaining about how no matter what you know, somebody knows more, and they probably do. What do I know about running and shooting? And I've never done it. I don't know what kind of gun you need. And you do need all that fancy stuff for that. But 99% of the people don't. And like I say, these guns were all built before Bear Creek Arsenal even existed. Or that other one. What the heck's that other one I just said? I don't even pay attention because I only buy one kind. I used to build Anderson lowers and take a Bear Creek upper right out of the box, stick it on the gun, and hand it to somebody to go shoot without even testing it. And then they got so lousy you couldn't make it shoot even if you sent it back. So I quit Bear Creek altogether, but they were a quick buck. Build a lower, stick one of them build uppers on there. You know, $600, you're done. You had money in your pocket, on to the next one. But their products got terrible. Then you'd order something and they'd send you the closest thing to it. And then when you complain, they'd tell you, well, look in your fine print. And in the fine print it said, we can send you anything. And you'll see on these, like I say, most of this stuff's outdated because these guns are so old. There's nicer handguards, there's way nicer, like you look at your, let me grab one. You look at your, now that's solid. I can't collapse that like the 6-position collapsible one. But look how it don't make no noise. Don't rattle like a 6-position stock. And I only want it at that length anyways. It isn't like I'm going to be changing it all the time. I'm only going to carry it from here to downstairs, so what's really the difference if it's already extended? It really don't make no difference to me, I don't think. Now when you get into the 7.62x39s, I had to go with the SIG brace that's a little softer because of the kick. And then another one, that's a rifle buffer with just a pad on the end. I don't know if they still make them or not. You'll see all my guns have the same exact charge and handle extensions. There are a lot of the same features on every gun. They're as alike as they could be with being different. You know, I stepped up the lengths of the handguards and sizes and things like that, but you run out of options after a while. And like I said, I do have some downstairs that have the M-lock, and the M-lock is a nicer setup. These key mods come with like an aluminum nut, where the M-lock have a steel one, you can tighten it up, and you know your shit's going to stay on your handguard. But if you look, I don't have nothing on none of my handguards, but maybe a sight. So I don't need to worry about, you know, the one being better than the other, because I'm not going to hang a light or nothing on any of mine. If I were, I'd change it up to something different. All right, 19 minutes. I don't think I've ever made a video this long and said nothing. But like I say, everybody has their say. Everybody has their list of what's best. But everybody don't realize nobody's shooting at the same place, the same style, be the same age. You got to take all that into consideration. Well, I'm going to stop this at 20 minutes, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Like, share, subscribe. Come back and catch the last of this where I go around and show you each individual gun and a little more on the one I'm making. Uh-oh, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, we're out here.